See, last class we were discussing the basic elements what you can use in the JSP for typing. Understood? So these are the 5 basic elements what you can use in the JSP. One is the scripting element, the directives, standard actions, EL and JSTL. Okay. So last class I covered the scripting elements. These are 5 things which you can use, and last class I covered the scripting element. These are the most important interview questions what you will be facing. What are the basic elements you can use in the JSP? So in scripting elements there are 3 things again. Okay, there are 3 scripting elements which you can use. First one is scriptlet, which will be identified as what? Means the HTML code will be written in what? Tags. You will be writing HTML code in these tags, but Java code will be written within these tags. That's the difference. Now you can notice the scriptlet will be written within this, but the expression is written within what? An extra will come now. That is equals, and declaration on interjection mark will come. That's it. So these are the 3 scripting elements which you can use in a JSP. What is the difference also I covered? Yes or no? Between all the 3. What you write inside a scriptlet goes inside what? Service method. What you write as expression will go inside service only. But scriptlet should be ended with semicolon. Expression should not be ended with semicolon. These things clear. And these 2 will always go inside service. Fine. But declaration is used to write what? Class level members. Lastly, just make this one small change. I had written only instance variables and method. If you want, you can write static also. Just write slash and static. Earlier it was not there in the document. I just added it if you have written it down. Declarations are used to write class level members, that is instance variables, or static variables and methods also you can write. So it's all about how you want your new class to be generated now. In JSP what happens? We are going to generate a class. Okay, in Servlet we write the class, but in JSP we generate the Servlet class. So how you want to generate it? So now declarations will be entering into the class now. This is very important, very most important interview question. Can I write a method inside a JSP? Yes, 100% you can write a method inside a JSP, but with the help of only declarations. And that method has to be invoked in service method. Okay, so you'll invoke it within scriptlet. If you want, you can invoke it in init and destroy also. But generally the methods will be invoked where? Service only. Okay, so you should invoke it, otherwise the method will never be invoked. Same like service, which on Servlet I had shown, if you write on M1 method in a Servlet, it will not be invoked. That M1 method has to be invoked either in init, service or destroy method. I have shown in Servlet. Same thing here also. If you write on M1 method, it has to be invoked now. Where you invoke, you decide. Majority of the time we invoke it in service. So that is why we will invoke that in scriptlet. If you invoke it with scriptlet, automatically it will go inside the service method. That thing you should be very clear now. Okay, so by chance, see this, I will write now. If this is your JSP, hello.jsp. If I want to write a method, see this, void M1, I can write. But if you write it without this error, that means it will go inside what now? Service. So you cannot write a method inside a method now. So that is why it becomes error. I am revising this because it's the most important interview question. Clear? So then if I write it as a declaration, valid, but it will go inside the class but outside service method, valid. Similarly, if you want, you can write one more method with return type. See this, int m2, int x, or int a I'll take, int z is equal to a into a. Fine, valid. You can write one more method like this. Both the methods have to be invoked where now? Service. How will you invoke it? In a scriptlet, just call M1, that's it. And M2 also you can invoke, but M2 needs an argument now. Of type what? Int. So send it. If you want, these values will get dynamically. Okay, so now return type will be what? Int p. Percentage equal to p also you can say. Fine. So now you can print the value it will give. If it will be what now? 25. But you have to terminate with semicolon. Sorry. Percentage equal to, like this also you can call, or you can directly call this method is equal to what? M2 of 5. Yes or no? Highly valid code now. Close the scriptlet here. The scriptlet has been closed here. Yes or no? Here I am invoking expression. So like this you have to invoke it. Clear? But never try to invoke a method which is having void as the return type. With what? expression, very tricky interview question. You'll write, see, percentage equal to M1 is error, no? Because it's not having any return type only. So how will this finally will get converted to what? Out dot println. So when it gets converted to out dot println, okay, out dot println of M1, what is the return type? Nothing, void. So it will give you error. So if you are using a method with an expression, that method should have a return type. Otherwise, simply invoke it. If you want to print whatever the value is getting returned, better. If you want to print whatever value is getting returned, you can use an expression. Otherwise, if it is not returning anything, simply invoke it like this. How will you invoke? See how we have invoked it here, like this, M1. Are you clear with all this? So this is your hello.jsp. You wrote an M1 method, you wrote M2, then you invoked it in M1 also you invoked in scriptlet, M2 also you invoked it in scriptlet. After invoking it, see the return type P, you are printing it here. If you don't want to write these two steps, directly call the method like this with an expression. But do not use an expression for a method which is having void as a return type. Clear? Yes. Then finally, if at all you want, you can have the life cycle also. With the help of this, you can write what? Life cycle methods. Which one? JSP, init, JSP, destroy also you can write. So if you got this idea now, if I want, I can write JSP init method and write a logic here. Similarly, if you want, you can write JSP destroy method. Last class I showed you how to simply I put SOPs. Okay, I put SOPs, but if you want, you can write. But you can never write a service method in JSP. This is your hello.jsp. You cannot write what? A service method. This is invalid. If you write, what will happen, you know? What will happen? Okay, when the JSP gets converted to .java, no, in that class there will be two service methods now. One built-in, which is automatically generated, and the other one which you are writing. So can a class have two service methods with the same name? Now you will get error. So you should not write service method. Service method is always implicitly generated. So if you want, you can override init and destroy, or if you want, you can write other methods like this, M1, M2. How? With the help of declaration. You can write it. But remember, the container calls only init service and destroy method only. Any other method you want, M1, M2 and all, has to be invoked explicitly. First of all, the question is, can I write? Yes, it is valid, you can write. Now after writing, how do you invoke? That's the question. Yeah, after writing, you can invoke it either in any of these methods only. Which one? Init, service or destroy. Because the container has been designed to call only these three methods. It's the JSP container now, or the web container. The container will call only three methods. So this is an interview question, but fact is we will never write any method in a JSP. If you want, write it. See, these are tricky interview questions. Just to understand how good you are having knowledge in Java. Because when you write a class, you should know what are the different members which are possible there. So now, since we are not writing the Java class here, it is going to be generated. You should know how to generate it. So to have a good check whether you are having a good knowledge, sound knowledge in Java, this is how they'll trick you now. Clear? And they'll ask you how you get all this code in, means how you add all this code into a JSP. Very cleverly they'll be asking you all these questions. Clear? See, by chance in core Java, if they ask you, can I write a static variable inside a class? What will you tell? Yes. Can I write instance variable inside a class? Yes, you will tell. But the same if they trick it very cunningly, can I write it in a JSP? You start thinking. So nobody will ask you directly, can you write static variable, instance variable in a class? This is why they'll be asking it. Very cleverly they'll trick you. Yeah, and these are very important interview questions. That's why I'm stressing on this basic concept. Yeah, sure short interview question. But never write a method using what? Scriptlet, because method will go inside a method. Declaring a method inside a method is error in Java. If you write it like this, this will go inside service now. Now writing a method inside method is which one? Error in Java. So this is what is about all the three things now. Which one? Declaration, scriptlet and expression. You should have very strong control over these three things. Because using these things only you start writing what now? all the contents of a JSP. Shall I clear all this? If you have any questions, ask. No. If you have, do not worry. Continue. Automatically it will get cleared. Because we will see more examples using what? All these three things. Automatically it will get cleared. So that's all. Here getting doubt means only thing. If you have got doubt in Java, you should get doubt here. If you are strong in Java, you should not get any doubt here. Yes or no? And I believe all are got in what? Java, and you know how to write a class, no? You know how to write a class, no? Then there you write the class. Here you generate the class. That's it. So the possible interview questions, got it now listed. If I write a service in a service, what will happen? One more service will be generated and it will cause error. Why? Because having two service methods inside the same classes always means two methods with the same name in a class is always an error. Can I write a method inside a scriptlet? No, because you cannot write a method inside a method. Because what code is written inside a scriptlet goes inside the service. The next question would be, can I write a method? Yes, that you can write it with help of declaration, but it has to be invoked in a scriptlet. It has to be invoked in a scriptlet. Otherwise it will not be invoked. Why? Because container calls only init service and destroy method. And never use a method with void return type in an expression. These are the highlighting things about today's class. Are you clear? If your method is having a return type as void, never use it in expression. That's it. Okay. So if you are covered with that, next we'll go into the next part. Which one? Directives. The second one. We are covered with which one? Scripting elements. We'll be going to the next one, that is directives. Yes, let's see the English meaning of direct. What do you mean by direct? It's similar. If you know English, you know Java. That's it. Tell now, do you know the meaning of direct? What is the meaning of direct? Don't know. Showing. Tell. So for learning Java, mandatory language is English, not C, C++. So we are going to the second one. Direct means giving instructions. I directed him to go there, means I gave instructions to go there. I directed him to not to do that, means I gave instructions not to do this. Something like that, means giving instructions. There are many meanings of direct. I am picking one meaning. Direct means straight away also. Does the bus go directly to that city? Yes or no? Does the train go directly to Mysore? That is another means, straight away it will go to Mysore. But the other meaning of direct is what? Giving instructions. So I am using the meaning of what? Instructions. So yes, so we are seeing directives now. So directives will be used to give instructions to the container for translation of JSP to servlet code. Okay. Directives are used to give instructions to the container for translation of JSP to servlet code. Means in what way you want the code to be generated. Okay. You can use for telling that directives. And there are three directives: page directive, include directive, and taglib directive. These are the three directives. Again in directive also three things are there. So we'll be going with the first one called as page directive. Clear? So see, now in your JSP, if you see anything like this, since it is not, if it is not visible properly, I am writing it percentage at the rate of this thing, it is called as directive. Clear? This is called as directive. Now there are three types of directive. So if you see something like this, see, get the point clearly. This is what now? Scriptlet. This is what now? Declaration. This is what now? Expression. This is what now? Directive. So like this you'll be saying, this is one directive. Everything remains same, only these things get added extra now. But Java code is always written which tag? This tag only. That basic you don't forget. HTML code is always written this tag. Okay. So this one is, next one is include directive. And the last one would be taglib directive. So these are the three directives what you have to learn. Clear? And actually these are tags. Percentage at the rate of, that is okay, directive. But this is basically a tag. This is also one more tag. This is also one more tag. So if it is a tag, you know what will it have? Attributes, and those attributes will have what? Values. So we'll start seeing how to use the tag, attributes and values. Clear? So first one would be page directive. What I'll take, it is having many attributes now. Page directive is having many attributes. So now see, when you are writing hello.jsp, we'll see what are the different attributes of page directive, that is secondary. But when you are writing a JSP, generally see you'll be using it like this, percentage at the rate of page, and this attribute can be used this page directive can be used n number of times. It is having some attributes, but this can be used n number of times in your JSP like this. Means one time with one attribute. One time with one attribute you can use it, or in only one declaration only you can use all the attributes. Only one declaration only you can use all the attributes, or you can go on writing multiple times like this. So that's how it works. So see this page directive and one more thing, it can be written anywhere. You can write it on the top or bottom, anywhere. But the convention followed is it's always written on the top of the JSP. The convention, that's the industry standard convention you write. Understood? So JSP directives are used to give instructions to the directives over no? Yeah. A page directive can be written anywhere in the JSP, anywhere. When you see example, you'll understand. But by convention, page directives are always written at the start of the page. Then next, we can define multiple attributes in a single page directive. That is what I was telling you. We can define multiple attributes in a single page directive, or we can have multiple page directives in a single JSP. Both options correct. So I'll show you that with an example. And now there can be only one occurrence. Means one attribute can be used only once. Obviously, yes or no? When you are writing when you are writing HTML file also, you'll use body, BG color is equal to red you'll tell. Generally when you are using tag attributes value, in one page you'll use attributes only once. Understood? See again, can I write body, BG color is equal to orange? No. So one attribute has to be used only once. But here also the same thing, one attribute can be used only once, but there is an exception to one attribute. There is an exception to one attribute, and that attribute is called as import. That attribute can be used n number of times. Why we'll see it? It's just basic introduction I'm giving to you. Understood? See, there can be only one occurrence of any attribute value pair in a given JSP except import attribute. You can use page directive with import attribute more than once in a JSP file. Following are the different attributes of the page directive. Now see this, what are the different attributes? Page, it is having around 11 attributes. Most important, some more are there, 2, 3, leave it, but these are the extensively used attributes and which are extensively asked in the interview. Clear? So which are the 11 attributes I am teaching you now? First one is language. Second one is content type, extents, import, session, is thread safe, error page, is error page, auto flash, buffer, is yearly ignored. So all these attributes you have to study now. What it will do, means what are the possible values, if you change the value what will happen, all this we have to study. It's very simple. So yes, that's what I was telling you. If you want, you can use one page directive only and use all the attributes like this, or other option is what? Go on writing one by one, percentage at the rate of page. Now see here I'll write something like language is equal to Java. Then again once again I'll write percentage at the rate of page, content type is equal to text/HTML. Like this you can go on writing multiple times, your wish. Either you write multiple times page directive like this, or only once you write and fill all the values to all the attributes like this. Two options are also correct, and you can write it anywhere, but the general convention followed is top of the page. Clear? Fine. So you'll see this very clearly. Now obviously if there is an attribute, it will have always what? Default values. So to make you clearly understand this, I will bring everything into a single page. See this. Okay. Just I am trying to bring both into single screen. This is the table now. is the table. See, language is Java, means see, this is one of the attribute of what now? Page directive. Similarly, content type attribute. So what is the default value and what is the possible value the developer can give, and what happens if you give. Clear? So we'll start studying one by one now. So first I'll be taking, see, you can study it in any order. It's not that you have to study in the same order. So one by one I'll start telling you now. First I'll take content type. Yeah, content type means, see, when you're writing a JSP, so you can write a code like this: % of page content type is equal to, I'll write something like this, img/gif also I can write. It's whatever MIME type you want to give, or application/word, depends on what response you want to give to the client, MIME type. So when this JSP gets converted to .java now, it will be generating the code now as what, response dot set content type. This one it will generate. By default it will be text/html. See, this is the default value. Understood? This is the default value. If you want to give anything else as a response, better you specify the MIME type. If you want to give any other value other than text/html, better you specify the value. See, the idea is what, they are trying to make JSP coding very simple. In Servlet you go on writing Java code, yes or no? Because you are writing the Java class. But here the idea is what? With simple tag, attribute and values, we are trying to generate the code. They are telling you don't write. If this feature was not provided in JSP, what you would have written now? One extra line you would have written. In your JSP, see, this is the way, because directive is there, you are writing it like this. But if directive was not there, what would have you done now? You have to write using a scriptlet. What you have to write? Implicit object you have to use. Response dot set content type. This was the alternate option. img/gif. So which one is easy now? This is easy or that is easy? Because it's more easy to remember what? Tag attribute value. So instead of you writing the Java code, you use tag attributes values like this. This code will be automatically generated and it will be put inside service only. You don't worry about that. Understood? So that, but the code is getting generated now. So that's what you are telling. You are giving instructions to the container while so that when it is how to generate the Java code or how to generate the Servlet code. You are giving instructions to the container on how to generate the Servlet code or how to translate the JSP into Servlet. That's what you are giving instructions. Yeah. So they have made programming simple in JSP. That's it. So to learn little challenging, but once you get the grip of it, it is going to be very simple because you know all the concepts in Servlet. The same concepts you are trying to see now how to do it in JSP. So these are the two options. So one was the content type. Next we will see I told you about content type now. Second. So this is also a very important class. What we are covering now, all are important from interview point of view. Okay, see, I will show you how I arranged. Then you can decide how to write your notes. Document is sufficient. See, the document goes like this. I show you how I designed it. Later on, you decide how you can write your notes if you want. See, I have got these are the basic 5 scripting elements. First I introduced about scripting elements. Then I am going with directives. In directives I am going with page directive. I showed you this. At which one? Attribute values and table. Okay. Then here what I am doing is below I have got all the notes for it. Okay. Like content type defines the response type being sent to the client. Yeah. So next one what I will be taking is I'll take session. The next one, you can study it in any order. I'll be taking it in session. So the notes you see specifies the whether the client, these are notes, I'll explain it to you, but see if the notes specifies whether the client joins HTTP session. By default, session object will be available in the JSP implicitly. If you do not want the session, specify false. That's the means. Let's see the meaning of it. So the next thing which we are studying is which one now? Session. See, if you want the client to join a session in a servlet, you have to do it explicitly by calling which method? Request.getSession. So until and unless you say request.getSession, the client will not join the session. Means blindly it's a request and response. More than that, nothing else. But if you want the client to join a session, you will call the method request.getSession. So that's when he will join the session. And it has to be done explicitly in a servlet. Remember that. But here it will happen implicitly. If he makes request to JSP, he's already joined what? Session. And the session object has got implicitly created for what? The client. Yes or no? Session is an implicit object, yes or no, in a JSP? Session is an implicit object. So it is implicitly created. So if you do not want the client to participate in a session, when he makes a request to the JSP, then specify it as what? False. Simple. Yes or no? If you do not want the client to participate in the session, then specify it as false. That's the same thing what you wrote now. Specifies whether the client joins a HTTP session. By default, session object will be available in the JSP implicitly. If you do not want the session, specify false. Means if you do not want the session object to be created, in your hello.jsp, what you will be doing now? %@page session is equal to false. That's it. Over. Getting it now? So now you'll have only how many objects? 7 implicit objects. In this page, you'll have 7 implicit objects because session object will not be created only. If you want, you can generate the source code and see all that. Understood? Just I'm giving you an idea about all this. Clear? Fine. Next. Session. Then next we'll be going with language. See, language I'll go now. So the default, 1 second, sorry, these are all just, it's got changed here. Just make it to T, small t. True, false will be small f. These are the default values. Yeah. So session is by default true now. So make it to false. So that's it. So we completed 2 now. Which are there? Yeah, content type and session. So then next, language will take. So I'll put cross for, even though I'm teaching you language, I'll put cross for it. We'll never use some attributes here. Never. So which we use, I'll put tick mark. Which we never use, I'll put cross. Understood? So anyway, I'm covering language now. See, this language means, see this. Defines a scripting language which can be used for writing what? Scriptlets. It defines the scripting language which can be used for writing scriptlets, declaration or expressions in a JSP. Means when you are writing a scriptlet, declaration or JSP, you can use some language. But which language did we use? Java language we used. So they have kept an option open. Tomorrow if you want to write JSP with some other language, you can do it. But still it is not, means they thought of future programming. Tomorrow, one fine day, some other language if they want to support in a JSP, let them. They wanted to give the support. So that's why they added this attribute. Clear? But currently valid value is only Java. Still no support has been given. And if you try to give also, you get an error called as which one? Invalid language attribute error. Some future programming they are thinking. So that's why we'll never use it. So default value will be Java and we continue to write using what? Java only in declarations, scriptlet and expressions. So that is why don't bother about language now. But interview question, what is language and all that they'll ask. And next, extends. This also we never use, but definite interview question. Now see, when your JSP gets converted to .java, okay, what is it going to extend? Hello JSP was extending which class? So when your code got generated, you saw the source code class hello_JSP was extending. Last class I showed you the source code. HTTP JSP page. And this is vendor specific, we know that. Yes or no? Fine. So this is what is happening. But sometimes you can write your own servlet also. You'll write your own custom servlet and you want all the servlets in your project to extend your own custom servlet now. Means when you write your servlet, it will be called as custom servlet. Like example, I'm having one servlet by name cluster servlet. One name. Okay, I'll give and I'll write on which one? Class called as cluster servlet. So this class cluster servlet will implement servlet, and you have to do a lot of implementation now. Then after doing this is a custom servlet now. In my project, what will happen now? All my servlets can extend which one? This class also, but by default generally you extend which class? HTTP servlet. Okay, but sometimes if you want, you can write your own custom servlet also. It is never going to be done because we don't have that ability. We developers do not have that ability, but that's an option what we can think of. So if at all you write, now in a servlet I can write class my servlet extends what? Cluster servlet. I can do this. So this is the custom servlet now, what you have written. Till now you are extending my servlet extends what? HTTP servlet. You can do it. So this is possible when you are writing a servlet code. Why? Because you write the Java class. Now this in JSP now, when the JSP gets converted to .java, I want my class to extend which one now? Not HTTP JSP base. I want HTTP JSP base now. Yeah, this one. I do not want, but this in turn, you know what is the story? HTTP JSP page, it is implementing servlet. You know this story. It is implementing. Yeah? But I do not want it to extend HTTP JSP base. I want it to extend what now? My custom servlet called as cluster servlet. Cluster servlet is a custom servlet what I have done. So yes, we can do it. But here the problem is the JSP's container is automatically generating the code. Now how do you give it instructions to extend this class? So we have to give the instructions now by using what? The page directive with the help of extends attribute. So you can write, how will you write? Percent in hello.jsp now, write this now. Hello.jsp %@ of page extends is equal to fully qualified class names you have to give. Fully qualified. Yeah? com.cluster. What? Cluster servlet. So when your JSP gets converted to .java, instead of extending HTTP JSP base, it will be extending cluster servlet. Because here the code has to be generated. We are not writing the code. Yes or no? You think practically now. Okay. So here it will be in servlet we write the code. So whichever class I want I can extend because we are writing the code. But there it has to be generated. So end of the day you are noticing here page directive is used for what? Giving instructions to the container how the servlet code has to be generated. If this feature was not there, imagine how difficult it would have been. How will you write your code? Think. Either you have to write it using scriptlet. But how do you know what is the name of the class the container will generate? That is one thing. You never know what is the name of the class container will be generating. Yes? So even if you write it in a scriptlet, see the problems. How will you write? Class hello_JSP. Somehow if you find it out and write the code extends. Which one? Fully qualified class name com.cluster. Cluster servlet. If you write it also, where will this code enter? Inside service. Fact is it should be what? At the class level, outside. So there are too many complications. So that's the reason they are giving you all this support now. It's impossible for us to write the code like all this in a JSP. So to make our coding simple, they are giving you this directives now. So it will give, like looking at the code only, it will translate the code into what way you want. Yeah? So this is the idea. Are you clear with all this? So and anyway, we know that we never write custom servlets also and we never extend it also. But if at all you require, that option is there in servlet, same option has been provided in JSP also by using what? Extends attribute of page directive. Means a very tricky interview question. If my JSP has to extend some other class other than HTTP JSP base, what should I do? Write your custom servlet and use the attribute called as extends of page directive and give the fully qualified class name. When the JSP gets converted to .java now, it will be extending that custom servlet. In servlet it is very easy because you are the developer. You can write anything, you can extend also anything, you can implement also anything. But here remember, you are generating the Java code. I keep repeating that. Here we are generating the Java code. There we write the Java code. Servlet we write, but here we generate. That's why I'm stressing. So you should know how to generate it. Yeah? Okay, so definitely you will be not doing it now. Because we cannot have the as best implementation as what? The vendor. The vendor is implementing what? Generic servlet is implementing servlet, HTTP servlet is extending HTTP servlet. So vendor is very powerful. So he knows how to do it. So we blindly follow that only. So we don't have to bother. So that's why I'll put wrong to it. We never use it. So that's about extends. And the default value of extends is what? It is omitted. There is no value. Default value. If at all you want to give a value, it should be any fully qualified Java class. Carefully observe the default value also. Default value for Java is what? Sorry, language. Java. Possible value. Nothing you can give. If you give also, error. Same way extends. Default. Yeah, I finished it now. Okay, default value for content type is what? Text/HTML. Possible value is what? Any MIME type. Default value for session is what? True. Possible value is what? True or false. Only these two you have to give. No other value. So that's why I've made the table like this. Clear? And notes for extends. Extends is not there. Yeah. If you want to write a custom servlet and we want our JSP to extend the class, use this attribute. Generally this is avoided. Okay, then next we'll go with this thread safe. Most important tree question, but never used. Understood? So okay, see now, if you want your servlet to follow single thread model, what will you do? You know there are two for scalability. You got two means the servlet in the servlet you got two models for scalability. One is what? Single thread model. Other one is multi-thread model. Means the servlet can be implemented using two models. One is single thread model, other one is multi-thread model. We know that. So in servlet, if you want to follow multi-thread model, blindly you will write what? First servlet extends HTTP servlet. By default your first servlet is following what? Multi-thread model. But if your servlet has to follow single thread model, what will you do? You will implement single thread model. Yes or no? If you implement that, finished. Your servlet will start following what? Single thread model. Now what is single thread model? What is the difference between multi-thread model and single thread model? That be clear. Multi-thread model means multiple clients will use the same servlet concurrently. Means threads will be there in the pool, one thread will come outside, it will use it, the thread will be given back to the pool. You know how the process is. And in single thread model, what is the guarantee? That only one client will use the service method at any cost. Now vendor can implement it anyway. What are the different ways vendor can implement? Either he can synchronize the access to service method, or he can create now he can do instance pooling of what? Servlet. He can do instance pooling of servlet and see to that for one client, one servlet instance is used and returned back to the pool. So vendor can implement it in any way. But the guarantee in single thread model is one client will access the service method. Only one client will be accessing the service method. That's the guarantee. Yes. So that is fine with servlet. But now by default now, carefully come back to the JSP. Your JSP is by default following what now? Multi-thread model. But I want my JSP to follow what? Single thread model. So what to do? So imagine you have to write the code now. What code you have to write? Class, implement, single thread model. How do you write that code now? It becomes very complicated. Yes or no? Class, implement, single thread. You don't know the class name. And now to write this code also, where will you write the code? You know declaration, scriptlet, expression. Using this code, if you write it, will go inside the class. But this should be at the class level now. So you can see the difficulty. So that's why they are giving you what? Directive attributes and values like this. So all you have to do is what you know. If you want your JSP to follow single thread model, %@page is thread safe is equal to default value is true, make it as false. That's it. And I show you with the output now. If thread safe is equal to true is the default value, and it will be following multi-thread model. If you say false, JSP container will generate the code. Clear? So yes, it is never used because it will degrade the performance of the application, but a very important interview question. Understood? A very important interview question. Are you clear with this? So default value is what? True. Possible value is what? True, false. Notes, if you want, you can take it. Is thread safe? If the value is true for this attribute, the generated servlet class will follow what? Multi-thread model, which is default. Which is default. If the value is false, it will follow what? Single thread model. What is single thread model? I already given this notes to you in servlet. Ensures that the servlet instance handles only one request at a time. If a servlet implements this interface, you are guaranteed that no two threads will execute concurrently in the servlet's service method. There are two approaches which can be followed for implementing single thread model. Means vendor can implement this. One, he can create what? A single instance and synchronize the access. In this approach, the container will create a single servlet instance and synchronize the access to service method, or he can do what? Instance pooling. In this approach, the container will create a number of servlet instances and maintain in a pool. For every request, one free instance will be taken from the pool, and after finishing execution, it is returned back to the pool. It is up to the server vendor to choose any approach for implementing single thread model. That is, they can choose instance pooling, or they can choose to synchronize the access to service method. It is not recommended to use single thread model because it degrades the performance of the application, and it is deprecated also, but it is still there in the Sun exam, plus it is asked in the interview, even though it is not used. Definite interview question, and even in Sun exam, SEWCD, there also they ask this. Clear? So fine. So we'll see one of the output now for this. So I show you two. Session is equal to false, I'll show, as well as what? Is thread safe is equal to false also, I'll show you. So I'll take the fourth example, which on JSP lifecycle. There only, it's very simple, you do it there only. So go to that JSP, only lifecycle.jsp is there. Just use which one you know? Percentage @ page. See, we'll give the drop down list. These are the different attributes. Is thread safe is equal to default value is what? True. So you have to give the value as what? False. That time it will follow what? Single thread model. Yeah. Other one is I'll do two things. One parallel I'll show you. Like this, in one page directory only you can use multiple attributes, or I can write one more time. Percentage @ page. Session is equal to false. My wish. Okay. So session is equal to what is the default value? False. Clear? So, or one by one I'll show you. First we'll see is which one? Is thread safe is equal to true. Oh, sorry, false. Yeah. Now you can deploy it. You know how to do the search? Okay. If you want, you can make the request. That output you'll get. That is not a question here. But by default it will be following what? Single thread model. Now it is following single thread model because I used what? False. By default it is true. Don't get confused here. Default value of that is true. If you want single thread model to be followed, make it as false. So that's what I am trying to show you. See this. So if you want, and it's printing what here? CI service, okay, output is okay. So here, if you want to see the file, see this, C drive, you know how to search now, go there, Apache Tomcat, search the file, star, life cycle star dot star, yeah, you got it here, open the source code, edit plus, see here, implementing what? Single thread model. Obviously it will follow single thread model. Clear? In Servlet you write the code, here generate the code. So just if you use on tag attribute value, it's made our life more simple now. Coding in JSP has been made more simple. Otherwise Writing all this code in JSP, imagine with that cryptic syntax of what? Scriptlet, declaration, expression, it's going to be very difficult. So that's why they told, whatever code you want to write inside service, write it. But whatever things you want to add like this, you can use directives. So that's the actual meaning of directive. Now start understanding what is the meaning of directive. Are used to give instructions to the container for translation of what? JSP to servlet code. How it has to be translated. That's the actual meaning. Yeah? So fine. So are you clear with this? Same way you can check what? Session is equal to false. Do it. Okay. See this. Should be redeployed. Let's stop the server and start again. Again you have to see the source code, nothing else. And now it will be generated. Again you have to go and search. I think or you have to do a new search check. Reloaded. And again see application is there, request response is there, config is there. So everything is there, but session is missing. Correct? Session is equal to false. So like this you try it out. So fine. How many attributes we covered now? Yeah, last point. It's not recommended to use single thread model. Yeah, next. Import. Extensively used. Default value is omitted, but you can give any fully qualified class name. See, sometimes in your writing code in JSP, you'll need classes from other packages like util package, array list, or if you are getting database connection classes from SQL package. So if you want all those classes, what will you do now? You need to import it, or you have to use what? Fully qualified class names. So that is the reason they are giving you the support of what? Import. Default it is omitted, but what is the possible value? Any fully qualified class name. I'll give you an example. This one, import. See, import. It is used for importing any Java class. If you want to import more than one package, you can specify a comma separated list after import, or you can use import more than once with the page directive. That's why you can use what? Page multiple times. This is actually an interview question. Which is the attribute which can be used n number of times in a JSP? Page directive. Import attribute. It's an interview question. That's why I stressed on that. Yeah, it is similar to import statement having in Java programming language. So just I'll show you an example for that. If at all you want to use now, supposing I am writing hello.jsp. See this. This is hello.jsp. Now what will happen? I'll write. Yeah, which one is that? Yeah, I want to write some code here in scriptlet. Scriptlet I'll write the code. Like what? Array list. ARL is equal to new array list. So one option is you write the code like this. Simple. This is with what? Simple class name. Other option is what? You have to use fully qualified class name. You know when to use a fully qualified class name, na? When you don't do import, obviously you have to use what? Fully qualified class names. So by default you have to write the code like this. If you want to use which one? Collection classes, or even any class from any package. Not only built-in package. Supposedly you will write your classes. You will want to use your classes. Okay. So those classes if you want to use also, what you should do? You have to use fully qualified class name. Imagine now, it's very difficult. So if you want to avoid that and want to use this, you want to avoid this and want to use this, so that time you will say what? Percentage at the rate of page, import attribute you will start using. And you can start specifying now. Import is equal to what? Java dot util dot star also you can say, or what? Array list also you can say. That's your wish. Comma. Now say, if I want to use classes from other package, like which one now? SQL. So I'll write Java dot SQL dot star. Like this also you can write. Means comma you can use and go on adding any number. Or other option would be write page multiple times like this. Which one? At the rate of page import is equal to Java dot util dot star. Percentage at the rate of page import is equal to Java dot SQL dot star. Like this also it's possible. Means you are using twice here. One time, two time. Here you are using only once. That's the difference. So either use comma and give the list of all the packages, or use page attribute with import, page tag with import attribute multiple times. But if you do any of this, the advantage is what? You can use simple class names. And if you don't have the import one, you should have used fully qualified class name. If you, yes or no? And by chance say, if I don't import and if I write the code like this, what will happen now? JS will get converted to .java, but you are not importing now. You'll start getting errors. Clear? So that's the reason import has been provided. So now when the JSP gets converted to .java, or when the JSP gets converted to servlet, the import statements will be added now. Where? On the top. So that's what you are giving instructions to the container to generate what? Java code. How you want your Java code to be generated, you are giving instructions. So that is the reason you use what? Directives. Directives are always used for giving instructions for the container to generate the Java code. How the JSP, or simple meaning, how the JSP has to be converted into a servlet. Simple. Are you clear this? I'll show you the example, this one also. Done? So to avoid using fully qualified class names, we import. Simple. It is similar to your what? Import statement in Java. Similar. This is extensively used in import. So what we use extensively, I am putting tick mark. What we never use, I am putting cross mark. But all attributes have to be learnt. Because you want job, you have to learn. There is no syllabus in which one? Interview. In your college you had syllabus, no? College, how do you learn? 100 marks. You want to pass 40. There also you will select. Everything is syllabus oriented. Here, no syllabus. Interview, anything can come from anywhere. You want job? Simple it is. Go through. So import. It is used for importing any Java class. If you want to import more than one package, you can specify a comma separated list after import, or you can use import more than once with the page directive in a JSP file. It is similar to the import statement in a Java programming language. Similar. So next, a default value is what? Omitted, means no value, you have to give it. Okay, so 3 used, 3 never used. We'll go with this one, auto flush and buffer. These two, but never used. See, first I'll go with buffer. The default buffer output would be 8 KB. Means as soon as 8 KB is filled, when you say out.println, 8 KB is filled from the client, from the server to the client, it will be flushed. Client will be making a request to the servlet or JSP, and it will be doing the output. Yes or no? So here, as you go on saying out.println or pw.println, whatever, as soon as 8 KB is filled, it is written to the socket. From the socket, it is flushed to the client. So 8 KB by 8 KB, it will be flushing. So that's why you'll see the output very slowly. Yes or no? First small text will come, then small images will come, then bigger images will come. Yes or no? So that's a better way, or in TV you see now. In one time only you'll get the full output. Which one is better? In a TV what happens? As soon as you switch on the TV, see the difference you understand. In a TV when you make the request, full image will come in one go. But in internet, when you make the request, first little text will come, fonts, then small images, then bigger images. Yes or no? That's how the output you see. So if you want at one go, you can increase it. Like that also you can do, but just you have to increase what? The buffer size. Percentage at the rate of page, buffer is equal to, default value is what? 8. You can give in multiples of 8. Like if I write 8 into 1000 means 8000 KB. Till 8000 KB is filled, it will never write now. Understood? So like this, see, this is your JSP, assume that this is your JSP. Here I'll write percentage at the rate of page. What now? Buffer is equal to, directly write 8000. Convention followed is what? 8 into. So that you usually understand what you have done. 8 into 1000. Valid. Or 8 into 10,000. Means till 80,000 KB is filled. It will not write only. So that time what will happen? When the client makes a request, full image will be displayed in one go. This is better or which one is better? Bit by bit is better or this is better? Means displaying everything in one go is better or displaying bit by bit is better? So if you want to display everything in one go, what will happen now? Till that 8000 KB is filled, client has to keep waiting here. No client will wait today. 1 second if he doesn't see the output, he'll think what? Something wrong with the website, he'll go to some other website. But if you start displaying bit by bit, he'll keep waiting for how much? Half an hour also he'll wait. The internet is slow, he'll give his own reasons, that is secondary. But he's going to definitely wait. So that's the reason we always keep it to 8 KB only. We don't change that value. But if you want, you can increase it. This will happen when you are having too many images and all that. Clear? So you have got both the options. Either if you want, you can display it in one go or you can display it bit by bit. We never change that setting. Always we retain it as 8 KB. So that's why I put it as cross mark. Done? Then next, auto flush. As soon as it is filled, it will be flushing automatically. Means as soon as that KB, you have specified now 8 KB or 16 KB or whatever it is. As soon as that buffer is filled, it will start flushing automatically. Okay, if you make it as false, it will not flush and you will get error. So don't do that also. Yeah, so that's why we don't use both of them. We retain it as untouched. We'll never touch it only. We'll never make any changes to auto flush and buffer. But what are the default values? For buffer it is 8 KB. We can give any value of multiples of 8. 8, 16, 24, 32 or 8000, 80,000, anything like that you give. Done? Next, auto flush is by default what? True. As soon as it is filled, it will start writing to the socket. So if you want more information, see this. The buffer used for increasing the size of the buffer. Auto flush, if true, the output buffer to the client is flushed automatically when it is full. If false or runtime exception will occur. Don't do it. Error will occur. So done. Clear? So almost all we covered. Then yeah, again the most important interview question and definitely used. Error page and is error page. Clear? Error page and is error page. Important interview question also and extensively used also. Okay, we'll see that now, what it is. See, till now we have not written very hi-fi coding in the JSP, but when you start writing now, you'll get some exception handling problems and all that. Okay, means you'll have to write try catch block, all that you have to write. So writing all that becomes very complicated in what? JSP. That too not in one JSP, you have to write it in what? Try catch you have to write, supposingly you are writing some logic. So in all the JSPs you have to go on writing what? Try catch, try catch, try catch. Now writing that code is very difficult in JSP because you have to use scriptlet, expression. It becomes very complicated. So JSP main support is it is giving support for presentation. So if you try writing too much of Java code, more problems only. Okay, so we should avoid writing maximum Java code. That is going to happen now. Within the next 2 class, what I'll do? I'll be using JSP only for what? Presentation. That will happen. But in case if you write Java code and if you want to do exception handling, that's the idea. Supposingly see this. I'm having some pages like this. This is one JSP. One second. See, these two will be used together. So I'll cover it together only. These two attributes. See, this is a.jsp, this is b.jsp, This is c.jsp. And if any error occurs, exception occurs in this JSP, okay, if any error or exception occurs in this JSP, it should display which one now? This particular JSP. Which one? Say, let's say, I'll name it as 1.jsp. Example I'm giving. Just write example. So let's see this, what it is. So how do you do it? See this percentage at the, you'll write your code, whatever code you want to write. Like if you're getting database connection and all, try catch, all that, you'll be writing. Okay, but instead of that, what you can do is, write like this. Percentage at the rate of page, error page is equal to, which is the error page for this one now? 1.jsp. Sorry. Here also what? Percentage at the rate of page, error page is equal to 1.jsp. Everywhere you go on writing now. Here also percentage at the rate of page, error page is equal to 1.jsp. Like this means when this a.jsp is getting executed, if any exception occurs, user will not get 404 error, 500 error and all that now. Directly which page will be displayed? This will be displayed. So for doing that, what you do is, here you have to write one more attribute. Percentage at the rate of page is error page is equal to true, you have to tell. So if you tell this, what happens? Here, see, generally your JSP has how many implicit objects? 8. But if you add this attribute, this is a special JSP and it have 9 implicit objects. Remember that. This will have 9 implicit objects. And you know the 9th one, which one it is? Can you guess? It will be exception. The mother of all exceptions, or the superclass of all exceptions. So it will be there. So here what happens, if any exception occurs here, that will be thrown to this one now, to this JSP, and this will catch it and handle the exception. So the idea is what, centralizing all the exceptions into a single page. Instead of writing try catch everywhere, you will centralize it into one place like this. Don't write try catch there, try catch here now. Simply you tell what? Percentage at the rate of page, error page is equal to so and so. Now what is the difference between error page and is error page? Very important interview question. Error page is used to give the URL to the is error page. Yes or no? Error page is used to give the URL to the is error page. Now is error page is what? Used for telling that this is an error page for other JSPs. Self-explanatory. This is an error page for other JSP. So by default this error page is what now? False. So that's why all JSPs will have 8 implicit objects. Here you'll have how many? 8. Because the default value of is error page is always false in your JSP. So that's why you'll have 8. Done? That's it. Very simple concept. This also I'll show you with what? Example. Yeah? So the example what I'll show you is, shall I clear this now? What I've written? Okay, here only I'll show it. Just make it up. See, this is my application now what I'll be showing you. I'll make a request to now one.html. Sorry, some HTML. If I make a request to that HTML will tell enter number 1. Sorry. I think I'll have to clear it. I need space. So enter number 1. Enter. See, the user, you are asking him to enter two numbers for divide. Enter two numbers to divide. So he'll enter the two numbers and he'll submit it. Now this logic I'll be writing in a JSP. I'll be writing it in a JSP. Let me see the JSP name. Yeah, this name I have given it as, HTML name I have given it as enter.html. You can give any name, your wish. But when you make the request to enter.html, it will display this. And this name I have given it as divide number.jsp. See, the user can give any value. You can give honestly 10 and 2. So you know how to write the logic. Request.get parameter num1, num2. You'll divide it and you'll give back the response telling what? The result is 5. The division of both the numbers is 5. You'll give it. But supposingly he'll enter 10 and 0 now. So exceptions occur like this runtime. We can't predict. I'm giving you a very simple example. So while executing the code, if any error occurs in this page now, if you're not doing exception handling, what will happen? 500 error you'll start getting. You've seen it in Servlet and all that. In Servlet we didn't see exception handling. But now we are seeing exception handling in JSPs. So if at all an exception occurs in this JSP, now it should display me what? Another page. Which one? That you can tell now. Which one you want to display. So this will be divide. I'll give some name. You can give any name. That's your wish. I'll give it as divide error.jsp. Any name you want to give. So for doing that, all logic you write here. But I'll not write try catch now. I'll not write try catch, nothing I'll be writing. Or simply you'll write request or get parameter, all that you'll write. When you see the code, you'll understand. So you'll write percentage at the rate of page. Error page is equal to what now? Divide error.jsp. Simple. This page name you give. Divide error.jsp. I'll show you the code. Clear? Here what will you write? Percentage at the rate of page is error page is equal to true. That's it. So if at all an exception occurs here, then it will go to this page. Else, same page will be displaying now. The same concept. If any error doesn't occur, it will display a.jsp or b.jsp or c.jsp. But by chance if it occurs, then it will display which one? 1.jsp. That's the idea here. Yeah? So I'll see this with coding only. This is output what I have to show you now. I'll show you. Most important interview question now. Yeah, see this is the 5th example, 6th, 7th, today's assignments. So you refer, I'll be referring to which one now? The new example, 5th one. Better you delete all your old applications in the server, because many times it so happens that we use the same JSP name and the JSP.java will be converted now, that is there in the server already. So there might be some problems you might face. So that is why I recommended that you deploy only the application which you are using, or keep different JSP name in every project. Understood? Keep different JSP name in every project. And see, this is lab. In live project, only one application will be there in the server. Remember that. Only one application will be there in the server, and definitely your application will have what? Many different JSPs only. But here what is happening? So many projects we are coding, so many projects we are deploying. All will have the same name, means login.jsp or login. In all the projects, login.jsp, JSP or enter.jsp, will have problems. So recommended is delete it. So I deleted it and we'll deploy the new one now. Yeah, let's see the code now. First I show you the code. Enter.html, enter number 1, number 2. Yes, the source code I'm showing you. And this is the HTML there, enter.html, what I have drawn. Next, when you make the request, it's going to what? Divide number dot JSP. Yes. So when it goes to divide number dot JSP, see this. Request dot get parameter, I'll do it. Am I writing any try catch exception handling code? No. But on the top, what I've written? Error page is equal to divide error dot JSP. That's it. If everything executes correctly, fine. Else it will go to divide error dot JSP. What is divide error dot JSP containing? See this. Please do not enter 0. It will display some message to the user. It will catch the exception and show some message. And you will have a link there. Click here. So if you click there, it will bring back to what? Same HTML page only. So it will never allow him to enter what? Wrong values. So see this code. And this output, it's better you run it in which one? Firefox or Chrome. Better you use maximum Firefox or Chrome browsers. Clear? And don't try to depend on this browser. Some things will execute, some things will not execute. Okay. So means here, see, I'll show you the output. I'm not saying no. HTML slash, what is that? Enter dot HTML. Sometimes it will run, sometimes it will not run. Correct values I'll enter. Enter number 1, 10. Other value is 2. So it will display 5. Okay. But if I try to give a wrong value, see, the website cannot display a 500 error, it will start showing. Actually we expected what? That JSP to display. Fine. So if you want, better is what you try now in Chrome browser you try. I'll tell you why that error is coming in a while. Done? Same, opening up Chrome browser now, same project. Enter number 1, enter number 2, 10 and 2. Beautifully it executes. But if I give a value of 0, please do not enter 0. This is what you are expecting. Click here. So it will bring me back to what? The same HTML page. So you are doing some kind of exception handling, correct? Means if at all an exception occurs in that JSP, you are forwarding it to another JSP and giving him a link back to the same HTML page. That's up to you how you do exception handling. Okay. So are you clear with all this? This comes with experience now. When you do more projects and all that, exception handling will come very clearly to you. But I'm not focusing on exception handling here. I'm majorly focusing on error page and is error page. These both attributes are used for providing what? Exception handling support now. Clear? And error page is used for what purpose? See now. Defines the URL to another JSP. If any exception occurs in this JSP and is used for exception handling. When you are writing Java code inside the JSP, you may get exceptions. To handle those exceptions, you may need to write. I'll clear it off. Are you clear with the diagram now? You're writing, you may get exceptions. To handle those exceptions, you need to write try catch blocks many times in all the JSP. To avoid the try catch blocks and to centralize the exception handling, use error page and is error page attributes. Okay. Now is error page defines whether the current JSP is an error page or not. If the value is true, then the JSP will have 9 implicit objects, 9th being exception implicit object. This attribute enables the exception implicit object. Clear? Very important equation. Difference between error page and is error page. Note the difference. It defines the URL to another JSP if an exception occurs. Error page. Is error page defines whether the current JSP is an error page or not. Note the difference. Very important. They are all very simple interview questions to you. Clear? Are you got the output now? Yes. Now why it didn't work here? If you have a question, yes. See, it will work provided you create JSPs using Eclipse tool only. See, like this you have to create actually JSP. Right click. You can say new other. Just type JSP. You will start getting the drop down. Yes. It is in web option. And you know the option now? Web. Or if you want, I'll just do it like this. Cancel. Right click. New other. Where is web now? Here, JSP file, that option. So say next, I'll give some name like, simply to identify, OOOO.jsp, and I'll say finish. Now it will work. But it will generate some code like this, which you do not understand time being. So that is when the browser inside your Eclipse will work. If you want the browser inside your Eclipse to work, all this auto generated means, see now at least little you are understanding, percentage at the rate of page. So that's why I didn't show you how to create JSPs using which one? Eclipse tool. So when you start understanding, you will do it. So if you write your JSP like this, definitely it will execute in your internal browser. Which one? Eclipse browser. Yeah. Otherwise, you depend on outside browsers like Firefox or Chrome. Done. So this is it. See, it's nothing now. Page directive, attributes. These are all attributes. Which one? Content type. Page encoding is one more attribute. You should have doc type. Okay. This is the which one? Header information. Okay. Every HTML page should have. So all this it should have, and then the internal browser of your Eclipse will execute. That's all. Understood? So just I'll delete this now because it is waste. OOO.jsp, whatever I created, I'll delete it. So if you have created your JSP like that, which on divide error.jsp, definitely it would have executed. Done. Are you clear with this? Till now you are creating how? How are you creating the files? Instead, new file OOO.jsp, you are doing it like this. Yes or no? That is the difference. Fine. So that's why if you create it like that, here it will not work. So this is over now. Yeah, I think we have covered almost all. Yes, the last one now is EL ignored. A big subject. One special class will be taken for this. 1 or 2 classes will be required for this. Just write it down. The default value is false. The possible values will be true or false. Extensively not used. I mean, you can use or not use. Yes, I put tick mark only. It will be used. So out of the 11 attributes, how many will be used? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 will be used. 5 will never be used. 6 will be used, 5 will never be used. But even though thread safe is not used, most important, interview question. Done? And the notes for EL ignored, if true, ignores the EL. There is one subject called as expression language. We'll be learning that. It will ignore. If it is true, it will ignore it. By default, it will be considering. If it is true, it will ignore it. We'll see that later. Clear with all this? So you know so much about JSP now. How to write the code in a JSP. So keeping this in mind, I'll teach you now how to write one. We'll take up one assignment. Actually, this assignment has to be done by you, not me. But I'll just show you. You use my example for reference. But you practice it. That's your duty now. Clear? So all this clear now? We'll see how to use everything now. And we'll see how to write a good code in a JSP. Till now we have not written any good code in JSP. Just we are printing hello world and all that. So let's see now. The assignment would be this. The first page, you'll make a request. You already done this in Serlet. Same assignment I'm taking up. You'll ask the user to enter this page. Which one now? You know now? I mean, sir, making him a member. Enter name, enter password, enter email, enter phone. So these values will collect and the user will submit. And submits this. What you have to write now? Connect to this is your JSP now. This will be the first request. This will be your HTML. HTML will be very simple. Signup.html. Any name you want to give. So now this will be your JSP. Save customer.jsp. So when the user makes the request to the HTML, it will display that. When she enters the value, these values should be collected now. This is your JSP now. And connect to database. In the database, you'll have a table now. Which table? Customer table. Customer table will have 4 columns. Which are the 4 columns? Which are the 4 columns? Name. Are you following it now? You already done this, sir. If you want the table, I'll write it here if it is not visible for you. The table would be this. Name. What? Password. Email. Phone. So this is the table you will be having where now? In the database. Since it's not visible, I have written it this. When the user gives this value, you have to connect to database, insert the values. If the values are inserted successfully, you should tell what? Welcome, thank you for becoming a member. Else you have to tell what? Better luck next time. Depending on whether the values are inserted or not. Values inserted successfully, welcome, thank you for becoming a member. Thank you for becoming a member. If not inserted, sorry, better luck next time. Either of one, don't print both. If it is inserted, welcome, else, better luck next time. So this is how you have to write the code now. So here you know how to write the code now. And we need lifecycle support. Yes or no? We need database connection now. So we need lifecycle support. So this is where we go on to use what? The JSP init, JSP destroy method now. And what code you want to write in service? Blindly put it in what? Scriptlet. It's finished. So it's all about writing your code now. So what code in init you want, what code in destroy you want, and what code you want in service, you decide. So what code you want in init? Write it in a declaration. Which one? JSP init method. Write your code. Now you want one more percentage at the rate of JSP destroy means connection. You want to establish only once now. I show you the code. So this is you will be writing JSP destroy code. Means here you will write your code. Whatever code you want, you write. Lastly, you write every code in what? Scriptlet. Whatever code that will go inside service. Concept is this. Code secondary. I have given you the idea now. This is your assignment actually. You should write this code. Yes or no? After teaching you all this, you should write all this code now. But I'll just show you the output. And by chance, if you want to do exception handling, do it here. If you do not want, you can have an error page. So I give you the requirement now. Understanding my requirement, you have to code now. So what all technologies you need now? You need the JDBC technology and you need the JSP technology. 2 technologies. First you have to start from there. What technologies are required? One HTML I need, one JSP I need, and JDBC I need. That's it. Understand now? Write the code, insert it. Very simple. Hardly 10-20 lines of code. Finished. You will get the output now. Clear? So for this you refer to the 6th example. This is your assignment, remember. Use this example only for reference. Clear? So there is signup.html now. Means this is the 6th example what I am showing you now. Sixth example, the first page would be the HTML file now. HTML file is simple, you know how to do it. enter name, enter password, enter email, enter phone. This is a regular page what you have been creating till now. Clear? So this is the HTML page now. When you click, it will go to what now? Save customer.jsp. So save customer.jsp has been kept here. Open it. See this. I need the classes in SQL package. Yes or no? And I need error page. Means if you want to do exception handling here, or you send it to that page. But I'm catching the exceptions here, some exceptions. But if still any other exception occurs, let it go to what? Some exceptions I am handling here. Which one? Class not found, SQL exception and all I am handling here. But some other exceptions still occur, I am sending it to what? This page now. So that's why, which attributes I am using now of page directive? Important error page. Like that you decide what are the different attributes you require. Clear? Fine. Now connection con has been declared as what? Instance variable. If at all you want to declare an instance variable, use the declaration. Now if you want to declare init and destroy also, use a declaration, because if you write it in scriptlet, you know errors. So write it in declaration. Rest all is simple coding now. Understood? Like request.get parameter NME, PWD, insert into customer, try catch, if I is equal to 1, you are written this code in servlet. Only we are writing it in JSP. Simple. And this order can be anything. You can write which one, init destroy first only or last only. That is secondary. Because finally your JSP is getting converted to what? .java. So it knows where to put init, where to put destroy, where to write the scriptlet code. And perfectly it will generate. That's it. So as simple. Coding in JSP is also very simple. Reason is you are strong in servlet. Do not forget that. Okay, if you are not good in servlet, this is one Herculean task. You know what is Hercules task now? It's a great task it is. It should have been practically impossible. So since your servlet is very strong, this coding looks simple and easy. Done? So let's see this output now. So what we require? A table. Let's see whether it is there or not. I'm working with this table. Customer table. Insert into customer, something like this. Okay, so the customer table is required and it is in the schema. Which one? Which schema? Oracle schema. Everything same. Only instead of servlet I used JSP. Customer table is already there. Only one value is there. I'll just insert it inside the SID. Or if you want, you can delete and create it one more time. That's your wish. That SQL file I have given it to you here in the SQL folder. Clear? Customer.sql. It is there. If you want, drop the table and create it. But let me run it now. Yes, the HTML name is what? Signup.html. We can just take this from outside only and give the value. Signup.html, enter name is AAA, password would be AAA, email AAA @clusterindia.com. Okay, phone number is 1111. Done. So I'll just insert this. Hello Mr. A, thank you for becoming a member. That's it. So, and if you want, you can go and see in the database now. Values have been inserted. Simple. Done. So do it. And by chance, if error would have occurred, it would have gone to dberror.csv. JSP. There you can display any message or bring him back to the same page, that's secondary, but any message you want you display. I am just giving the display as what? Database drawn, please try later, something like that. Yeah, that's your wish. Any message you want you give. Done now. Almost all things have been done. Are you clear with the page directives now? Yes. Next we'll go to include directive. The second one. Page directive is over. In directives, how many directives are there? 3 directives are there. Page directive, include directive, taglib directive. So I'll be going with the next one called as include directive. Include directive is very simple. You don't have to worry. 2 minutes it will get over because it is having only one attribute. Understood? It is having only one attribute. Let's see this now. So this is used to include contents of any file into the current JSP during the translation or compile time. Fine. Include directive is used for including static files. Majorly, generally it will be used for including static files. See, it can be used for including any file, but generally we use it for including static files. Why also I'll tell you. This is the notes. I'll make you understand the concept now. So supposingly, you'll be sometimes creating layouts. Layouts in the sense, when you are writing bigger projects, you'll understand this. When you make a request, so it will be displaying, but you'll be having something like header, means cluster software solutions. Then you might be having some navigation menu here, some options you might get. Then you might be having something like footer, like let us say copyright, something like this. Means this content should be displayed throughout the application. Assume that this content, which one? Header might be something like what? Cluster software solutions. Example I am giving. Then you might have the menu, then you might have copyright, something like that. Okay, and some phone number, anything. So this page, now you will go on clicking many options. Whatever option you click, next page, it should contain these 3 things. Extra here it can change. It can change. So this is what your requirement will become gradually. So displays are highly, they should be highly powerful. Until unless you have rich displays like this, your application usage will become what? Very complicated for the user. So you have to give simple UIs. For him it is simple, but for the developer he is having what? A great task to be done. So how do you do this? So what you want to do now, one option is you have to go on writing this code commonly in all the JSPs now. Yes or no? Write cluster software solutions everywhere, write menu everywhere, write this one everywhere. Why do you want to write the same code again and again? And tomorrow if one thing changes, today I have used cluster software solutions, one font I used. Tomorrow I will change the font of this cluster software solution. You have to change it in what? All the JSPs. Or I might want to change the background color of cluster software solution. Again you have to change where? Everywhere you have to change. So maintenance becomes a headache. So due to that, what we can do, we can split this into some small files. Like example, this I name it as header.html. This part I name it as menu.html. And this I name it as footer.html. And these files, you can include it in all your JSPs now. You can go on including it in all your JSPs. Supposingly, login.jsp is there or enter.jsp is there. So go on including these files everywhere now. So tomorrow, if you want to change only in one file now. Which one? Header.html or menu.html or footer.html. That's how you can do it. So see how easy the maintenance becomes. So the concept is what now? You understood now? We write multiple files like this and we go on including it. Understood? So for doing that, you can use the include directive. Include directive. Not page. It's a different directive now. Include. This directive you use now. Attribute would be file. The attribute for this would be file. Some URL you have to give. Where is that particular thing? That's it. Now it will start including. So now I will not create this kind of layout and all. Simply what I will do, I will keep 3 files and I will just include it. Nothing more I will do. Means example what I will do is, I will have 1.html. I will have 2. Not only HTML files, txt files, text files. That also you can include 1.html, or let us 1.html, 2.txt file, 3.jsp. All these files I'll include where, you know. Simply I'll show you the concept of what? Including. It will be included in JSP called as hello.jsp. This is your hello.jsp now. So now if you make a request for hello.jsp, all these files will be included now. Clear? Don't worry about layout and all. That we'll decide later how to do it. Just see the concept of including. So how will you do it? Can you guess? %@ of include. What do you write? File is equal to, yes, what is the path you'll give? See, you are in the JSP folder. The JSP has to include which one now? HTML file. So // from the JSP you have to go outside. It should enter HTML/1.html. You have to give the URL like this. Done? If it is JSP only, no problem. Okay, see this, I'll show you all the three. %@ of include file is equal to, assuming that txt file is also kept in the HTML folder. Assuming that txt file is also kept in the HTML folder, this is in the path. Now lastly, if you want to include JSP, file is equal to // sorry, directly what you'll say? 3.jsp. See, whenever you want to include a JSP like this, better you just give the JSP name. That's it. Now make a request for what? hello.jsp. The content of all these three files will be included here and it will display it here. I'm not creating layout, mind you. Just I'm including them. Just I'll write one line here. This is output from 1.html. This is output from 2.txt. This is output from 3.jsp. Something like that. And if I make a request now, shall I clear this side now? You understood the concept. Now what I'll be doing? Concept is clear for you? Now what I'll do is, I'll make a request to each one. hello.jsp. But all will be included here. This one, and this one. He'll display it. Very simple concept. Yeah? Should I clear all this? So it's again, what are you giving? Instructions to the container. Means when you get translated, include all this content into your Java code, servlet code. Include the content of all this. What is that? 1.html, 2.html in your servlet code. That's giving instructions only. Include directives also what? Giving instructions to the container. See, look at the files now first. HTML file is here in the HTML folder. The 7th example now. 1.html is output from HTML file. Nothing else is there. 2.txt is kept where? HTML folder only. Text files also you can add like this. This is output from text file. Lastly, 3.jsp. I can include a JSP also. But it is kept in JSP folder. Remember that. This is output from JSP file. Nothing, simple files. First understand concept. And this in project layout and all, you'll understand how to do it very clearly. In projects when you do, there you'll understand. So in hello.jsp, what am I doing? See, how did I include a HTML file? How did I include a text file? How did I include a JSP file? Clear? So that's all. So I'll make a request now to what? Hello.jsp. But in hello.jsp there are only two things. One is hello, welcome, how are you? Hello.jsp, practically if you see, I've written only two things. Hello, welcome, how are you? That's all. But it will display all that content to you. So let's make the request. It's hello. Okay. Yeah, JSP/gllo.jsp. I'll copy this outside. See this? This is output from HTML file, output from text file, output from JSP file. All the three files have got included here. Done. And this is what we are getting from hello.jsp. But the content of all the three files was added here. Done. So this is the concept. Now, see this. Generally, they say this include directive should be understood the output. Output also you got. You understood the concept also. But remember, this include directive should be used for including only static files. Okay, it should be used for including only static files. Now, static files means what? Files where the content does not change. Now, some of the example for static files are HTML file and TXT file. The content of HTML file and TXT file will never change. Yes or no? So that is why, if at all you want to include a static content, use include directive. If you want to include dynamic files, example for dynamic file is JSP. Don't get confused. Just understand the point here. There are two types of file, static files and dynamic files. Example for static file is text file and HTML file. Example for dynamic file is JSP. Example, it is an example. So include directive can be used to include static files also, dynamic files also. Okay, means you can include HTML file, TXT file or JSP file. But fact is, it is more recommended to include the files at static files here. Even though it can do it, it is more recommended to include only static files. Why? You have a question. Reason is simple. See, whatever it includes, it will be including at translation time. This include directive will be including at what? Translation time. Okay. So it will include the text file, no problem. It will include the HTML file, no problem. But if it is including a JSP file, the content of the JSP file will be changing many times. So what will happen if you include a JSP file including a directive? Every time you make a request to this, it has to recompile and execute. Performance will go down because that JSP might change now. The content of the third JSP, supposingly 3.jsp, here it is not changing. Here it is not changing. But anything changes here, your hello.jsp has to include it every time. So that becomes what? A performance issue. So even though it can be used to include it, you should not use to include dynamic files. I'm not saying JSP, I'm telling what? Dynamic files. It should not be used to include dynamic files. Example for dynamic file is JSP. Understood? So it's not used to include it. So how to include JSPs now? You might have a question. For that there is one more option given to you called as JSP include, standard action it is called. JSP colon include. One more is there. We'll see it, don't worry. So if you want to include dynamic files, you have to use this tag. JSP colon include, which I'll be covering later. Understood? So this becomes one of the major important interview question for you. What is the difference between include directive and include standard action? I have covered only include directive for you. You don't have to worry. When I cover include standard action, there you'll understand the difference between directive and standard action. So directive, basic difference would be what? Directive includes the file during translation time or compilation time. When the JSP is getting converted to .java, it will include it that time. But the standard action will include it when? During runtime. That will be the difference. So this will include it at runtime, that will include it at compilation time or translation time. So we should know how to mix and match now. That I will be showing you with example. So right now you understand only include directive. Okay, this is include standard action. This is standard action. Okay, this one is what? Include directive. So this is your interview question. What is the difference between include directive and include standard action? Definite interview question. Understood? So this will be including files at compilation time or translation time. And that is the reason, compilation time or translation time. That is the reason we include what? We include static files. Example for static file would be HTML or text file. Means the content never changes. Example I have written. Fine. Standard action is used for what? Includes files at runtime. So this concept you understood. Only have to give you what? Example. I'll give it later. Okay. And we include dynamic files. Example would be JSP. And done? So this will become a major interview question for you. Difference between what? Include directive and standard action. But I shown you the output. I included a JSP also and shown you, but not recommended to use. So I think we are done with include directive. 1.html, 2.txt and 3.jsp were all included in what? Hello.jsp. That's it. The next directive would be taglib directive. See, this is how it looks. The syntax: percentage at the rate of taglib, URI is equal to some taglib URI, prefix is equal to tag prefix. This is used for developing and using custom tags. Just write this much of notes. This is a big topic which we'll be covering later. Clear? So means the idea of this diagram is, see, these are all interfaces. Just I'm not explaining you custom tag today. Just write it down. Means taglib directive is used for developing what? Custom tags. We'll discuss that later. See here. But the idea of this diagram is what? JSP tag is an interface. Tag is an interface extending that. Iteration tag is extending tag interface. Body tag interface is extending iteration tag. Simple. Now here what's happening? Tag support is implementing. It's a class. You can see dotted line. It's implementing what? Iteration tag. This is one class implementing this. Now one more class wanted to implement what? Actually it wanted to implement body tag. So instead of unnecessarily writing all the code, what did this class do? It extended tag support and implemented what? The extra methods of this interface. That's it. It's a UML diagram. Okay. Got it now? This is extending this. Instead of, again, body tag should implement what? All the methods now. So what does it do? It extends this class. This is Java now. It extends this class and implements the extra methods in this interface. That's it. So just write down the diagram. We'll discuss about taglib directive later. Done? Yeah. This completes what? Taglib directive. The summary now. Most important is what? Page directive. Most important. And this one now, definite asked is thread safe? Error page is error page. Definite asked. Yeah, these three things will be definitely asked. Others, sometimes they might ask, not ask. But remember here also, error page will give the value now. Here also you have to give the URL. You wrote now error page is equal to, you have to give the URL, but actually I was giving only the name of the JSP. Why? Because we are in the JSP folder itself. So no, this also should know now. Error page is equal to, we are writing now, divide number.jsp error page is equal to, why we are not saying dot dot slash and all that? Because we are in the JSP folder only. So you should know how to guide from a JSP folders to, means from JSPs to HTML, HTML to JSP and all that. Done? It's not simple thing now. So from the interview, this is very important. They'll ask you error page is thread safe, and 6 are used, 5 are never used here. That's it. And very simple now. And include directive will be asked also, but they'll be asking you majorly the difference between include directive and standard action. That's it. Nothing more from today's class. Very simple concepts, but I've given you some 3 examples which will illustrate all the concepts what you have discussed. Practice that. These are your assignments in fact. Okay. Once again, if I not covered anything. Yeah, that's it then.